Mixing with Mike plugin of the week comes from MAAT, M-A-A-T. I'm not sure if it's MAAT or M-A-A-T. FiDef JENtwo is the name of the plugin. Let's head on over to Pro Tools. This is defined as a psychoacoustic stimulus plugin. What it's doing is it's adding in noise, and part of scientific research, it was designed to basically engage parts of the brain that would make us be more attentive to what it is that we're listening to. So there are a lot of people who have different thoughts about this. A lot of people will probably think that it's rubbish or that it's made up or it's just like a little EQ or some kind of harmonic processing someplace that's added in just to create a certain effect. Some people don't hear it at all. When I came across this, which just sort of came across as a newsletter, because this was released like, 6, 7, 8 months ago or something, as of when I discovered it or came across it, I picked it up, downloaded the demo, said, all right, this sounds interesting. I put it on the stems of a mix that I was working on, and within about 30 seconds, I purchased the plugin. I just went straight and bought it. It blew me away that much. Now, the whole thing about this is that it engages the sort of dual nature of what it takes to be really good at mixing. One, you obviously have to master the technical skills and be able to apply them in a way that creates mixes that people will want to listen to, right? And effectively, you're giving the artist their vision of what they want, or the producer the vision of what they feel that should come across. So there's a role that is technical, but there's also a role that is creative. And in my mind, the way that I've always worked is that I've always focused on depth field imaging and clarity, but also really have learned to focus on listening from a zoom out sort of perspective. You zoom in, you make the adjustments, you zoom out, and you take in the whole and see how the adjustments that you've made fit in. Okay. And with that mindset, because I've been doing this for 35 years, perhaps the experience is laid in where that's just a natural part of the way I work. So when I called up this plugin and put it on, I heard the differences instantaneously. And it spoke to me right away. Now, it may not speak to you. And so I want to go through it quickly and just, sort of poke it in. So what I've done here, because where it's recommended is you could put it on the mix bus, put it on the stems, right? That way you could put different settings for the different groupings of the mix. I have this stemmed out as drums and bass, guitars and keys. It's just one keyboard. The orchestra, so these are all programmed sample library strings, lead vocal, and background vocals. And so what I have here is a mix, and you get these 5 basic options, and so it basically shapes the noise. Now, as I understand it, there's a whole ton of parameters that happen under the hood you don't have access to. So basically, you get these presets, take them or leave them, you like them or you don't like them. And perhaps that's better than going in and having all of these settings tweaking and not really understanding necessarily what it is you're doing. I don't know. There's a little benefit both ways. Make of it what you will. What I want to do, though, is just sort of start here with simple drums and bass and kind of go through some of the different settings. They do have some descriptions for each of these. So for example, truckin' here, they call it subtle sweetness and energy, which can mean a lot of things depending upon the material. This is a low amplitude version of that. Sutro is described as giving more attention to frequencies above 8K, so that would probably give you a little bit more presence in air. Resno here sort of enhances or puts your attention more towards the upper mids. And then Evos is giving you what they call warm forwardness and resonance. So basically what it is, it's apparently like Resno cranked up, essentially. So with this in mind, you can go through some different settings and see how it affects these individual groups or to a whole mix. So perhaps this kind of fills out some of that low mid energy or the perception of it so that it comes across better. So there's no equalization circuitry in here. It's very low level noise that's added in that's meant to trigger things inside your brain that have you pay more attention to that particular area, right? Of the spectrum. So let's have a listen and go through it. We'll do it one at a time and see if the overall effect is worth diving in deeper on. Here we go. I'm going to go with the T hush there. I just sort of like that. I think you can hear like some of the, or hopefully you can hear some of the differences as I go through each of the settings. It seems to sort of shift the sound field a bit, or your perception of the sound field, which is the whole idea. The other thing about this is like, you might think, oh, well, do you have to have like, be like specially trained? But you don't. Like the whole idea of this is that for the casual listener, this is the idea, it's that it's triggering. I think when we mix, we're always looking for something to draw the attention of the listener. So there has to be some credibility to it if you're hearing results. And whether it triggers somebody subliminally or, in some other way, any avenue or method that you have to sort of hook somebody in, why not, right? So let's go to the guitars here and see what we can find here. I'll keep the drums in. Let's see how they fit in together. So I like the trucking right there for that. We have an orchestra here. Let me just skip over to the orchestral section. I think I like Evos right there for that. It helps to, give it that warmth that I was looking for there. Let's do the lead vocal. Bring that in. Who I've been is not who I am. Been walking this road where no one's dead. Been wrecking homes, breaking hearts without a care. Left a trail of tears, lived in fear, and now you're scared. I like T-Hush there. Let's go with that. And then here for the background vocals, maybe I'll go a little bit here to the vamp where there's more going on. Again, I like T-Hush, so that ended up on most of them, right? Nope, truck in there, and then T-Hush on the drums. Let's have a listen to see what it sounds like overall and kind of go through it.
Who I've been is not who I am. Been walking this road where no one's there. Been wrecking homes, breaking hearts without a care. Left a trail of tears, lived in fear, and now you're scared to love again. You run away from me.
So there you have it. I mean, I find it really amazing, as a tool. Now, this is a mix and process. There's actually no effect on it. A little bit of early reflections, compression, equalization, a little bit of saturation, and some parallel processing just to sort of dial things in. And it already has this effect on it. I'm interested to know how you guys feel about it watching this video, whether you're hearing it, not hearing it, and what your thoughts are about it. I love this type of stuff. Anything that gives me an edge and makes what I'm working on more listenable, or it gives me the option. If I don't like it, I can always turn it off. I think is something that is always worth looking at. This is based off of real scientific research. It developed from an engineer who was trying to solve this this concept or this idea that why records didn't sound the same as live performances, and there's a billion reasons for that. I've always felt like there's a visual aspect to going to a show, and obviously all the energy of the other people there and everything obviously plays in a huge way to the experience. Okay, and obviously it's it's an experience that's purely binaural, right? So you get it exactly as it is, whereas speakers are always going to be very limited. And when you do a presentation through a mix through speakers, you have to do things that are very unnatural to achieve somewhat natural effects to kind of pass through in the speakers. We don't have real life compressors in our real living, breathing world. There's always bits of that occur just in the transmission of the audio through space and the spaces that they propagate in, but that's extremely different than, cranking up a Fairchild, right? Completely different thing. So with this as a tool to help that translate, to draw attention and make your mix, however it is, at least engage the listener, then it will live or die on its own merits from there. It's certainly worth looking at. I found this to be incredible right from the very beginning, and the degree to which I continue using, I guess only time will tell. If you see my reviews and you keep seeing these plugins here on the stem or on the mix bus, then you'll know. Either way, I find it really cool. Check it out. I think it's at minimum at least worth a demo. And I think you'll kind of find some pretty cool and interesting results from it. And anything that kind of makes your music and your mix work more listenable and more engaging to the listener, how can you possibly go wrong? And I think this does all of that. There you have it. Plugin of the week from MAAT, FiDef JENtwo. It's the plugin of the week. Check it out.